Hello, and welcome to the TBI Podcast, Those Bored Individuals. Wait, what? Huh? Oh, we're back. Oh, sorry, I don't need to... I don't need to cover the cameras or anything. But anyway, wow. What up, my crush? It's me, Fresh, and welcome to a brand new year! Yes,
Hooray!
2023. No idea what's in store, but let's make it a better year because, since it's been a while, 2022 wasn't exactly the best of years for us, was it?
Man.
I mean, we lost the Queen, Russia is going nuts, and if that wasn't bad enough, Jeremy Renner, aka Hawkeye, could be losing his leg.
Oh no.
After his freaks.
That's more of a 2023 problem, to be fair.
Hopefully
yeah.
he's going to be okay, but still quite a shocker after that freak snowplow accident.
Yeah.
But enough about all that. There were still some glimmers of hope last year.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Of course, we had Scribble Showdown, Dudley, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Yep. We had a great year for animation, and in a year filled with so many Pinocchio movies, it was Guillermo del Toro who made the best one.
I mean, obviously, it's Guillermo del Toro.
Yep. Has everyone seen it?
No.
No.
Yes. The
I've
man...
seen bits and pieces.
Yep. The man behind Pan's Labyrinth, a film which took him nearly 15 years to produce. His stop-motion vision of the original Pinocchio story.
I don't think I've ever spoken about this before, but seeing as you mentioned Pan's Labyrinth, in secondary school we once went to see a screening of Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, God.
And after we saw it, to my knowledge, it was the person who made it who was talking it to us all in the audience, and I never remember his name, so it could have been himself, who, like, asking us all. I'm not sure, but he was at the time. The last Harry Potter films hadn't come out, and assuming it was how do you pronounce his name?
Guillermo del Toro.
So potentially him. He was saying, "Oh, there's we like Harry Potter. Do you know if Sirius Black comes back?" And I was just there like, I'm not going to tell you in front of the massive audience, and everybody applauded me because they were like, yeah, no spoilers. So it's quite funny. So I might have trolled him, which is quite funny.
So, as for 2022, but sheesh, so many Pinocchio movies, and most of them were utter crap, weren't they?
Yes.
I mean, Twilight, I know for a fact that you were forced to watch Disney's live-action remake.
I was. My mum made me watch it. My mum loves Tom Hanks, and even she at the end was like, well, that was dreadful.
I mean, Pinocchio smelling a pile of crap, was that in the original? No. Just that image alone tells you this movie's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Was that in the Disney remake, or was
Yeah.
that in the...
Yeah, that was
What?
Disney.
Why do live-action remakes always have some gross scene in there somewhere, like Yogi with a witchy grub up his nose or something, and this is where Sonic got it right, amazingly.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you had that weird Russian CGI movie where, although the story in that movie is crap, it was made unintentionally funny by its English dubbers.
Yeah, that's what you
that's the
get when
one-
you hire Pauly Shore.
Wait, was that the one where in the trailer it was Pinocchio being like, "Father, when can I leave and be on my own?"
Yeah.
Potentially that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that phrase so many times on the internet, and it's hysterical.
And I think that's a good idea. I agree with Nostalgia Critic on this. Dubbing over bad movies, like I consider that idea similar to Team 4-Star, like what they do with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Z with their abridged series. You know, we all know the original stories, but they dub it over in a way that's hilarious. If they do that with more bad movies, that is genius.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of Ghost Stories, the anime.
I was just about to say that.
Because that's like, the anime was not great, and the English dubbers were basically just let to say anything they wanted.
Yeah, so, the original Ghost Stories was just like, it was very much, you see what you get.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it. It's just like, bunch of kids go into a haunted place, find a ghost, run around for a bit, exorcise ghost, credits. And then, since it did so poorly in Japan, they later, when dubbing got involved, they were just like, we don't really care about this, so just do whatever. Just whatever. And they took it to the extreme.
Wow. I'll need to look it up later.
Regarding...
Warning, it does involve a lot of crass humor, so...
Yes.
I see.
Regarding Pinocchio films, obviously I've seen the original Disney one, which is the classic, and then I remember this live action one where I couldn't tell you which one it was, but like the Stromboli, shall we say, the carnival owner, like chases Pinocchio to a cave, and then he turns into like this ugly monster or something. Like it's kind of, I'd have to seriously search it up, but he's like the villain of the story, and it's very different. And
new.
I'm not sure if it was Geppetto, the musical version.
Maybe.
Because I only saw that once or twice.
It could be. And the other version I've seen, which is a guilty pleasure, is it's Pinocchio the Emperor of the Night, which is like, it's one of those like, it's not Disney, but it's trying to be Disney, and it's like a sequel to a Pinocchio film that doesn't have a sequel film as its own thing. Like there was never an original film,
right?
And it's kind of like, it's an interesting film actually, because I used to like, if it was on TV I'd watch it, and it's also a bit like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfettes. I don't know if they were made by the same people, but they're kind of interesting to watch, so I'd recommend them. But
I can imagine it's like one of those films where they're trying to pretend to be a Disney sequel, like Lion King 2. Well, here's Pinocchio 2. It'll be nothing like the Disney version, but it's got a big 2 on it, so therefore it's canon.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
mean, yeah. I don't know if you've heard of Phoenix Games at all. They're quite infamous, but they've got a Pinocchio, and like it's horrendously cursed, and it's just this very like poorly animated. I mean, there's one voice actor in the whole thing, and he normally when you get one voice actor, it's somebody who's really versatile and can do a bunch of different. This guy sounds the same, so every character sounds exactly the same in every scene. And you've got like Pinocchio coming in and going, "Hello, girls and boys," and it's a mess.
I've seen enough of Kid Icarus to know what that one's like. Ugh.
Yeah.
However,
I think the only reason they do that, slap a big 2 on these things, is just to like catch out unwitting grandparents who just are out getting something for their grandkids, and they're like, "Oh look, darling, it's Pinocchio too. Doesn't little Timmy like Pinocchio? Let's get it for him."
Yeah, exactly. However, Guillermo del Toro, he has potentially made the best Pinocchio movie since Disney's original animated movie. Because...
To no one's surprise. Yeah.
Well, for one, it's stop motion, so obviously that's going to be a win-win. It diverges a little bit from the original, from the Disney version, but it does take a lot more from the story and even adds its own spin on things. Like, this Pinocchio movie takes place during the First World War, and it's implied, well, we are shown that Geppetto had a real human son who was killed during a bombing accident, and the tree that he was buried under during a drunken rage is cut down and literally made into the Pinocchio we see. Just
Oh.
So
from
it's the right levels of dark.
yeah, from that one sentence alone, that tells you what kind of story we're dealing with here.
Wow.
But, for those who don't know, the original Pinocchio story is meant to be pretty messed up. Like from what I've heard, like because of the really old Grimm's tales and things. Like
Oh gosh, yes.
yeah, like take for instance, this isn't like touching upon the most gruesome stuff, but like the fox and the cat. Like
Yeah.
apparently in the original, like by the end of the film, they've betrayed everyone so much and stuff. They get into a really bad spot and I think they both end up like blind or like disabled or something, and they're like, just by the end of the film, it's okay. It's just something like, you backstab everybody and you end up in a bad space sort of message or something. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, sort of if you betray everyone around you, there'll be no one to have your back when you need them.
Yeah, basically.
It's funny you should say that, because this version of Pinocchio doesn't have the fox and the cat. Well, technically speaking, as I was saying with Some Things Are Reworked, technically, the character of Stromboli and Honest John the Fox are technically combined into one character. In the form of Count Volp. He's a carnival...
Volp.
Yeah.
Fox, got ya.
He's a carnival man who still runs a circus of oddities, but his design and name is meant to implement that he's also a fox, technically, because obviously his name, Count Volp, obviously the Latin name for fox, Vulpus vulpus.
Yeah.
And also
Yes.
in terms of his appearance, because he's got a long pointy nose and he's got red hair that's shaped like fox ears. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing a serious World War I sort of themed film, they're gonna take liberties with the fox and cat character, aren't they? Because if you're taking a serious note.
Yeah. Actually, I need to bring up, I think the cat has officially been reworked into the monkey character in this movie, Spazzatura.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, and he's played by Cate Blanchett, surprisingly.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Bet you didn't know Lady Galadriel was playing the monkey in this movie.
The thing is, on the note of monkeys, like I was talking about that Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night film. It's like it also has like carbon copies of like the Disney characters. So like instead of having a fox and a cat, you've got a raccoon and a monkey, and it's like just stuff like that.
Close enough, right? But yeah, whereas this movie can be delightful, it also can be dark, because they do emphasize that this does take place during war times. Like, you've got characters frequently doing the you-know-what salute, and there's this whole scene where the Pleasure Island scene is entirely replaced with Pinocchio going to war with several other young boys, which I think kind of works, because I think there's one point where they put on gas masks and the gas masks make them look like they are donkeys, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But
What is it, the kids, is it Lampwick?
Mhm.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Does he go to war with Pinocchio?
yeah,
There we go. Makes sense.
but yeah, this movie is incredible. The animation is amazing. The cast is just perfect. I mean, you've got, hello there, Ewan McGregor, I think, or whoever it is, playing Sebastian J. Cricket in it.
Oh. Yeah, another important side character from a Disney-esque show called Sebastian. Who knew?
Yeah. And of course, the kid playing Pinocchio, he is amazing. He's only like 6 or 7, but his voice is so angelic. It is just perfect for this Pinocchio.
Kids can be surprisingly talented when it comes to acting.
So yeah, I highly recommend you see this film because, like I say, it could be one of the best Pinocchio movies since Disney's original. You're listening to the TBI Podcast. Well, in case the thumbnail, if you're watching this on YouTube, wasn't obvious enough, we are all Na'vi from James Cameron's Avatar franchise.
Yes.
Now,
Wow, for all these years, all the years of hearing, hey, I hear Avatar 2 might be coming out soon. It's actually happened.
Yep. It's been over a decade since the original James Cameron Avatar movie was released, and now we have ourselves the unexpected sequel. So, before I press on, what are your thoughts on the original Avatar by James Cameron?
I remember quite enjoying it when I went to cinema with my dad and mum and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those movies where it was fun to watch in the moment, but then I quickly forgot about it. And I feel like that's a sentiment that more people share than expected,
I see.
in my opinion.
I liked it. It did stick to memory because everybody was talking about it, and I think like it was amongst those films everybody shouted about, like Life of Pi, and then there was Avatar and all that stuff. And I remember liking the action and the effects. The funny thing actually is I didn't see either of them in 3D, so it's quite funny. But because that was the gimmick of the first one. Everybody was saying, "Oh, you've got to see this in 3D." Oh.
We had the whole shebang when I first saw it in cinema with my family. Like, they were the ones who suggested it, like, oh, okay, people are saying this film is one of the best of the year. And so we saw it in 3D, and it was the first time ever that I was just glued to my seat, because I was just fascinated by this world and these concepts. Like, ooh, okay, this is cool. I mean, yes, I've heard the arguments that it's essentially just space Pocahontas, but honestly, I don't mind.
No.
What are your thoughts on it, Twilight?
I haven't seen the first or the second one at all. I have no desire to see any of them, but I did go to Pandora at Disney World and it was nice.
Oh, yeah, because for a long time, Disney has been implementing Avatar into some of their theme parks, so there's that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool, but I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe if I did see them in 3D, maybe I'd be a bit more like, whoa, but like, a little bit like my dad, like, he watched the first one and was like, it was really meh, and I'm like, I would probably feel the same because it's really, I've heard it's like 3 hours long.
Well,
like,
you're not too far off.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just doesn't pique my interest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It kind of comes back to what I said earlier about it, like being good in the moment, but then sort of gradually fades from memory.
Yeah, because
I mean, the second one made me want to see the first one again because I hadn't seen it in so long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like I say, the story is essentially space Pocahontas, you know. A man travels to a new world and he falls in love with the world he's in and the woman he meets, and ultimately teams up with them to stop his own kind from taking over. But the thing is, I think most modern films nowadays are kind of updated stories from long ago. Like, for instance, Ready Player One, it has become a recent favourite of mine, but when you really think about it, it's essentially a futuristic retelling of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay, not the take I was expecting, but when you put the thought process behind...
Yeah, a wealthy person of significant interest is hosting a contest with a major prize, and only a select few can make it, essentially. Only one can win it, but yeah, that's kind of what I think. But honestly, I don't mind, because taking something that someone's made, making something new out of it in a way that I personally enjoy. So that's kind of why I consider Avatar in the same ballpark. Yeah, it may be Space Pocahontas, but it's told and shown in a way that's visually pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I mean-
sorry, I don't even like Pocahontas, so.
I mean, this is the nostalgia critic fan shining through you, because I know he's one of the ones who like said it's like Pocahontas, and it is a fair point. I agree. Like, but then if you go into it thinking, oh, this is just like Pocahontas, like a lot of stories just have similarities to other things. You know, like when I first watched it, I didn't think of it in that sense, like, because you could say that about any film about someone invading, like, you know, place. It'd be like,
Yeah.
it is a fair point. That's what I'm trying to say.
As for the franchise itself, I didn't think Avatar needed a sequel, but I'm pleasantly surprised that James Cameron's going for 4 new films, including the most recent one, Avatar: The Way of the Water.
Fish.
Yep. So,
The way of the beast.
yep, I've seen it for myself. It kind of acts like a pilot to a Netflix series, because they're setting up... it's clear they're setting up future stories with all these new characters. Like, you've got Jake Sully and Neytiri's new family of 4, along with this young human they've adopted from when the humans evacuated years ago. They've named him Spider, because why not? And unbelievably, the Colonel is back in the form of an Avatar himself.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
in a sense. It's a bit...
As if that guy wasn't hard enough to kill.
Me.
The second Avatar was interesting because, one thing I will say about it is the way it focuses on things, you don't know what direction it's going, but at the same time, it keeps you interested, wondering where it's going to go at the same time. So it's not like choose a focus. Like, there's one bit where, like, without spoilers, let's just say the men are hunting something down, and it's kind of like what have we become? Like, men are evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like,
So,
mad.
I guess if you don't want spoilers, please skip to 24:31. But instead of uprooting the sacred trees of the Navi's home planet, instead, the ultimate planet saver for Earth isn't what's located in the trees, it's what's located in the ocean. And apparently, the ultimate treasure that humanity's hunting is apparently telepathic alien whale brain matter.
Of course it's whales.
Okay.
Which is very briefly touched upon. Like I say, the film doesn't know where to focus. But it is interesting. Actually, I just realised us talking about the way you described the whale things just made me realise how close this was to a live action Subnautica movie.
Yeah. Because I see it, yeah, because I myself recently got into playing Subnautica on the Switch, and you can definitely see some similarities, even down to the mechanical crab suits that are used in this movie, which is always interesting, but they are used for malicious intent, so it was like, I don't know how to feel about this.
I saw both films. The first film had elements like you see all the mechanical stuff, like the mechs and the helicopters and stuff, and I couldn't help but think of Halo, because there's a lot of designs in it which remind me of that. And then the second film, there's a scene where like the men are building a city with all these robots and stuff, and I was just there like, why can't we see this in a Sonic film? Why can't we see... I want to see Robotnik making cities out of robots and, like, Sonic comes in and trashes it all and stuff. That would be... I want to see this budget in a Sonic film.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday. Well,
Maybe.
from one movie to another, I feel like it's time to talk about another sequel to another movie that was released a decade ago, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
So many sequels.
Yeah.
I suppose 2022. Eh?
Yeah. So many twos. Makes sense to me.
Does that mean this year we're getting all the third films? Like Sonic 3?
Who knows?
Probably.
Now, I saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish just this week, and wow, DreamWorks is definitely made a comeback this year with both The Bad Guys and this. Because it seems like DreamWorks has now adopted this Spider-Verse style of animation where it's partly 2D, partly 3D, but visually it looks stunning.
But kind of a similar thing they started doing with Kung Fu Panda, I mean.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. This film is pretty ridiculous because it's showing DreamWorks' new attitude. Because on one hand, you've got the bad guys where you've clearly got toilet humor there, but with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, they are getting morbid because they're showing characters bleeding, like they're showing characters using swear words and sometimes outright censoring swear words. And it's like, good God, DreamWorks, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's certainly something to behold.
Wow.
Because
I actually have to watch that now. I'm interested.
Because this movie is reigniting our interest in the Shrek franchise. Because, of course, with Puss in Boots, originating from the Shrek franchise, there are a lot of cameos from Shrek characters and mentions.
Oh.
However, there are also some characters from the Shrek movies who are reworked into this film, and good God, they are going nuts with these characters.
Woohoo.
First of all, you've got John Mulaney voicing one of the villains in this.
John Mulaney.
Yep.
Love a little bit of John Mulaney.
Yep, he plays the big Jack Horner in this. And he's got a collection of everything magical from all previous fairy tales. Like, he's got a pet phoenix, he's got the Triton from Little Mermaid, and he's got everything he could ask for in his bag. So yeah, and he's got a huge swollen thumb, which becomes his downfall basically by the end of it.
Of course.
But perhaps one of the scariest villains in this movie is probably the Big Bad Wolf.
Uh-huh.
Now, we all know the Big Bad Wolf from the Shrek franchise. In the words of Fairy Godmother, not me, in the words of Fairy Godmother, we all know him as the gender something wolf, because he's always wearing a granny's dressing gown, basically. That is nothing like how this Big Bad Wolf is portrayed in Puss in Boots.
So is it the same character still, or...?
I don't think so, because this Big Bad Wolf is terrifying.
Yeah.
This Big Bad Wolf, he doesn't huff and puff. He whistles. And anytime you hear him whistling, it means you're gonna die now.
I'm not gonna lie, that is a trope that I love. Like, just whistling in the wind and realizing death is coming is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Beware the whistle of El Cibron. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what started it.
Yeah, that's exactly how Big Bad Wolf is in this movie. And it is horrifying. Anytime you hear him whistling, like, oh god, he's here.
Wait, I have to ask. Does he have a cowboy aesthetic of any sort?
I mean, he wears like this thing that covers most of his chest. He carries 2 sickles, marking out Puss in Boots' lost 8 lives, and he's just waiting to claim that last one.
Wow, that's hardcore, and I love it.
Yeah,
It's like a big bad wolf bounty hunter.
mm-hmm. He's literally a bounty hunter in this,
Oh, that's cool.
and
Love it.
it leaves you wondering: is this a genuine person, or is this actually Death himself?
Wow.
I still find it weird with the continuity that we've had a big bad wolf in the universe, but like, I don't know, because that kind of separates it from the Shrek universe in a way. So I don't know, but it does.
Well,
sound
then
cool.
again, the Rumpelstiltskin of Shrek 3 and Shrek 4 were seemingly 2 completely different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's more of a retcon situation because they never knew they were going to be using that character as an important character in the later show. So
Yeah, that's true, to be fair.
So, what? Any thoughts on that, Twilight? Have you seen it?
The new Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, it's not out yet. We've got dates in our cinemas for February.
Yeah, because I haven't seen any adverts for it yet.
Yeah,
I've seen
it doesn't
adverts.
as far as I know, it doesn't officially release until February.
Well, let's just say I have my methods, but I think I'm hyping. Sorry, I think I'm hyping it up for you. So this is helping.
Yeah, we do plan on seeing it when it's out, but
yeah.
I think several other characters I want to bring up, although they're to me. It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears appear in this movie as well. And you think Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you think, oh, this friendly family of bears confronting this little girl. Oh no. This lot is a crime family.
Oh.
They're all grown up, they're all bickering with each other. They're all after Puss in Boots, and Goldie actually frequently rides them. So that is epic. But again, briefly, I'll allow this version of Goldie and the Three Bears because the Three Bears did appear briefly in Shrek 1 and they never really brought them back for anything since then, so I'm willing to let it slide.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really remember about the Three Bears is one morbid joke I saw in the first one where it sort of cuts to Lord Farquaad's chambers and there's a bearskin rug with a pink bow on it, which is implied to be Mama Bear, so...
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, and you see that throughout the movies because you see when the squatters appear in Shrek's swamp in the first movie, you see Father Bear comforting Baby Bear, but Mother Bear isn't there. So yeah, that happened, and it leaves you haunted.
Good to know that the Shrek franchise has been really dark all along, just more subtly back then.
Yeah. Ugh.
Somehow I've still not seen Shrek the Third all the way through. I've seen the others, but I need to see that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the weakest.
It's probably the weakest, but I'd say it's still worth watching just because there's good moments in it. It's just not the best overall.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen bits and bobs.
I think after DreamWorks realised that Shrek the Third didn't do as well, that's kind of why they brought it to a close with Shrek 4. It was we've realised we're not doing too well now, so we'll just leave the franchise what it is with this 4th installment and maybe think of something else in the future. Wink, wink, wink. So, yeah, there's that. I, of course, love it, and I can't wait to see it in my collection soon.
Yeah.
You are listening to the TBI show.
Well, it's time for the first segment of the year. Time for the month's most ridiculous headlines.
Woohoo.
That was the quietest one we've had. Ah, well. Anyway, in this month's news, a US direct judge has ruled that it's now legal for Hollywood studios, including Marvel, to be sued over misleading trailers.
Yes. Good.
We love that.
Yep, so Marvel, next time you try to mislead your audience, you could be in a heap of trouble.
Wow. Infinity War. Enough said.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, because I'm sure for all of us, there's always been one movie we've been excited to see, but the trailers have promptly misled us. Like, for me, that movie was probably the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water.
Yeah.
Because in the trailers, they hyped it up to be this live-action CG hybrid of SpongeBob and the gang going to the surface, being superheroes, and just having nautical nonsense on land. But, spoiler alert, all that happens in the final third. Yep. All the rest... I mean, to be fair, the rest of it does act like an episode of SpongeBob, the series, but they never showed any of this in the trailers. Where was all the live action stuff? Oh, what? You mean to tell me it only happens in the final third? Oh, come on. So...
Yeah, I mean, when trailers... I don't like it when trailers show most of the best bits in them, and then, like, you get the in-between bits later. Like, like I understand hyping up the ending of that SpongeBob film, but if it's, you know, a long build-up to those best bits, you know, it's a bit like...
Yeah. I remember seeing a video from Glove and Boots, a frequent channel that I used to watch. They made this whole video where it's a guy narrating over the original Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. He was narrating over the trailer with the entire movie, and he ends it off with Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Oh, and there's a bunch of other stuff that happens in between all these segments. So it's he practically explains the plot of the whole movie in the trailer and ends it off with that, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of what some trailers do nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, with taking Infinity War as an example, with the misleading ones, like, I think, like, for example, they showed Thanos, like, with less stones in his glove than he has at that point, which is a good thing, because it leaves you wondering where things are going to go. On the other hand, you have, like, the Hulk running with the army in the trailer, and that doesn't actually happen in the film, so it's like, you know, in some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad. It depends on, like, how it's done. But also, with trailers that show too much, like, it's annoying when you watch a trailer that shows, like, the whole movie in the trailer, so you don't need to go and see it. Like, the newest Minions film, I saw 3 trailers for that, and I was like, well, I don't need to see the movie anymore, because I've seen everything. Like,
well, it's funny you should say that, because I do have a headline here that is related to that. Now, this headline is actually several months late, but I really want to bring it up before it gets too late. So, here it is. Children wearing suits have been banned from some screenings of Minions Rise of Gru after the viral trend prompted rowdy behavior.
Yep.
what trend?
Oh, you've not heard, Dudley? The infamous trend of dressing up in suits like sophisticated gentlemen and women to see one of the greatest installments in the Despicable Me franchise? You never heard of that?
No.
I called it the Gentle Minions.
Yeah. Because
and the actual like movie studio and stuff encouraged it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the good ones worked. Like, you had crowds of minions all cheering for the one person dressed as Gru in like certain establishments, and you just hear them going, "Minions, we will steal the moon!" Yeah! It's like, stuff like that is funny, but it can be taken too far.
Yeah.
So what? All these children were dressed in suits, and this was a problem because...
Well, to make the movie appear more epic than it really was. Because I admired the Despicable Me movies. The Solo Minion movies can be... The Solo Minion movie is okay, but I think they're beginning to sort of drag them out the more they make. And I think to sort of combat this, they sort of hyped it up like, dress in suits, show this picture is worth watching, prove it's a classy thing to be going out in suits to see.
I see.
So yeah, that was quite the trend for quite a bit. Was it worth it? I don't know, because I still haven't seen it. Maybe someday, when there's nothing else to do, I'll put on Rise of Gru, but I think Despicable Me has had its time.
Yeah.
I think I don't mind. I could watch, like, again, I'm kind of like being repetitive about it, but like with the new Sonic franchise, like I could easily watch, like, I mean, it's made by the people who made Fast and Furious. I could actually watch like 9 of them, like, very easily. It's just, it's about quality rather than quantity, though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, if the films are good, like, Marvel's been going for a long time, and like it's all connected and stuff. I know that, I guess it's kind of, since I know it's fallen off a little bit recently, but it could come back. But for a good while there, it was like, also, I'm not usually one for being like, oh, I've seen so much in a trailer, I'm not going to go and see it, but that new Minions film was like a moment where I was kind of like, yeah, I'm feeling that. And is that new, I think it's called Bad Guys or something, I'm not sure it's got... Yeah. First trailer I saw for that, which was on YouTube, was like a 3-minute or 4-minute trailer and I was like, it just showed everything, and I was just there like, well then. Like,
well, and wow, this is the first time we have a sequel headline. Now, do you probably remember that story about a vegan woman who tried to sue her neighbours for cooking meat in their backyard?
Yeah.
Well, thousands of people plan to attend a barbecue in front of her home. Oh, the tides have turned.
That's just bullying.
Look, as much as we make fun of vegans, I'm sorry, it's just, it gets too easy. Look, if it's what you want to do, I'm not going to stop you, but don't try to proclaim that going vegan is the norm.
We have not been vegans from the dawn of time.
Yeah, because no matter what you do, you can deny yourself a lot of things, but you still need them in your life. This is why there are so many like anti-vaxxers nowadays, because they're denying themselves stuff they believe they can outlive. But you need these things in your life. I even say this when it comes to people who deny themselves certain foods. Like, people who don't drink milk develop rickets and their bones collapse in on themselves. People who don't eat meat develop iron deficiencies and they start getting frail and their hair starts thinning, you know? If you just had some of this wouldn't be happening.
Like, it's different if there's intolerances involved. That's a legitimate excuse. But when they do it just for the sake of doing it, that's when it can get potentially dangerous. But ultimately, it's down to just how much are you willing to risk and how well are you able to mitigate the consequences.
Because, for instance, I don't like tomatoes. But however, there are plenty of other fruits and vegetables out there that can fill that spot. Now, do you see me protesting out in the streets saying that humanity should abandon tomatoes because I don't like them? No, I don't, because that'd be freaking insane. And I know tomatoes are good for you, but I'm sure somebody who was more than happy to eat them will eat the ones off my plate. That's what I'm trying to say here.
I mean, I would, like, my stance is, like, everybody has the right to do what they want to do. Like, if they want to, like, if they don't want to eat meat, that's fine. They don't want to eat meat. But there has to be a limit on, don't start, like, chasing people and, like, you know, trying to, like, what's the word? Like,
taking them to court.
Your views on them. Yeah, basically, yeah. There has to be a balance, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Depends on the subject matter.
The last headline that I have tonight is this. Thomas the Tank Engine fans are potentially going to be banned from calling the Fat Controller fat, as it could be now seen as a slur. Okay. So we're really gonna address him by his proper name, Sir Topham Hat, now instead of the Fat Controller.
I mean, this kind of stuff's really getting out of control, isn't it? Anything's a slur these days if you try hard enough.
I think they just push things too far a little bit sometimes, where I'm like, I can understand, like, especially when you're bringing modern shows in, like, if I think back to, like, I was, 2 when Peppa Pig started-ish?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, there was a lot of the early stuff is very, like, Daddy Pig's got a big tummy. I can understand not wanting to put stuff like that into modern kids media, but, like, the Fat Controller's kind of been around for a very long time. And I think we're at the point now where it's, like, the older generation is going to call him the Fat Controller no matter what, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that just stick, and just the idea of now calling fat a slur, like, yes, maybe not necessarily a nice thing to say, but stupid is also not a nice thing to say. People still say it.
Yeah.
And it's,
I was about to say, are we going to stop calling, like, for Teletubbies now, but then I just realised Telebellies is quite a good name.
The Telebellies.
At least in that case, that makes sense. Stopping from calling the Fat Conductor after all these years of calling him that without any issues. It's not like... it's not even like they're calling him that because, look, haha, look at that, he's fat. It's just like, he's a conductor, he's also fat.
Yeah.
The Fat Conductor.
You know, I feel like this is a weird place to bring this up, but to me, the Fat Controller has become so iconic that somehow he became one of the greatest warriors in my friend's Soul Calibur game. Because, I think I might bring this up in some other proper form, but I'm just going to say this now, but me and my friends have started playing on one of my friends' games of Soul Calibur 6, I think it is. Because as soon as you introduce customization, we're of course all going to go nuts and make whatever we want. And out of sheer randomness, I one day decided to make the Fat Controller with the battle style of Siegfried, and he had this huge mechanical sword, which I recolored to look like Thomas the Tank Engine. You know, he's strong enough to use Thomas as a weapon. And
now that is actually badass.
Yep, and guess what? he is one of my greatest creations in the game. So much so that we even came up with this ridiculous arc where he was okay, so I'm going to start explaining some of his story now. There's one map in Soul Calibur 6 that's like a port to some location. We just automatically assumed, oh, this is the island of Sodor. And because one of my friends likes making villains, he brought Skeletor to the island, literally sends Sir Topham Hatt off the island, and we began this whole training montage where he was fighting other characters to get back up to the top. And there was this running joke that if he ever lost his hat, his true power would be unleashed and he would always win every time. It was hilarious.
Classic.
I feel like somebody left in that time. Was my randomness boring, anyone?
No, I'm still here at least, and I loved it.
So yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up.
Eventually, if like there's certain things that need to be regulated, but like eventually, people start taking these things too seriously, like the fat controller, then eventually nobody's going to be able to say anything.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be, you know.
Like there was one episode, Nostalgia Critic actually covered this with this duck show, I forget what it was called, and he was like, the main character was basically tasked with try and make a joke without being offended, and the joke went like this. Okay, so a gay Hispanic goes to a restaurant with his best friend and they have a good time. Thank you. And that's the joke. Like,
Yeah.
because he's so nervous, like, he can't offend anyone, so the joke ends up being not funny in a way.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. You're going to need to check it out for yourself.
It makes sense.
Hmm.
Well,
We get
are you going to say something?
I was gonna say, when it gets to like things like we're doing this and like we can't say that anymore and you can't do that and we need to do this, it does lead to some. It doesn't always lead to good at all. It sometimes can go too far. I mean, I don't know if you guys are up on the HBO Velma series, but apparently the ratings are plummeting
Yeesh.
for it.
Yeah.
Because it's like they've gone, well, if we do this and we make it like, let's not make Shaggy because let's make him something different. And it's like, you've gone, like, I appreciate you're trying to diversify. I appreciate that you're like, why not? Why can't we do this? But the way they've gone about it, to be like, look, we're going to make it edgy and it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
They may as well be, they may as well be
Yeah.
completely different characters.
Yeah, and I think it maybe would have done better had it been completely different characters. I think it might have stood a chance of being enjoyable to an audience, but the moment you tie it in and the moment you make it about something people have loved for many, many years,
Yeah.
and it's like similar happened with Thomas. Like, we're saying, oh, you can't call him the Fat Controller anymore, but Thomas has been warped beyond recognition practically.
Oh god, yeah.
He's
With
2D, he's bouncy.
How on earth did that make it to cinemas? Who would see that?
People will do.
Ugh.
It's just. I mean, I've seen the running joke. There was a running joke. I don't know if you saw. There was like a Christmas Carol movie released on Netflix, an animated one, and there was a lot of sort of memes about like Ebenezer Scrooge with Luke Evans's voice singing so passionately, but he's like, it's this old man singing with this guy's like really big voice, and it didn't fit. And then people started comparing it to the Postman Pat movie from a few years ago, where Postman Pat sings dramatically and beautifully, and it's like, what?
Yeah, just because they have the same name doesn't automatically make them the same character.
It really doesn't.
I mean, this Velma series, I had high hopes for it, but what on earth is it doing? Claiming to be part of the Scooby-Doo franchise, and Scooby-Doo's not even in the picture.
Literally not even in the show.
He's not?
No!
What?
Wait, is it a Velma-focused series?
It's a Velma-focused series, but they've changed a lot of the designs. Because Velma, to be fair, looks fine because it's still, you can tell it's Velma. But Shaggy just doesn't look any. He's going by his real name Norville now, and he looks nothing like Shaggy, and it's really strange. And then they've made Fred kind of like not nice. Like, I've seen some clips of Fred, and he's really, really rude to Velma. It's like, no, Fred was such a nice, positive, happy guy. Why have you done this?
Had they done it like when Fred is like calling her a nerd or a dork or something?
Yeah, he like won't hang out with her because she's not popular. And Daphne, and Daphne's also like ditched her. Like they used to be like, this one getting from the trailer. Like they used to be like Velma and Daphne used to be friends, but then like Daphne ditched her to be popular. And I'm like, you've tried to be progressive whilst also just reinforcing stereotypes from like a few years ago. Like I thought we were past you're nerdy, so I can't hang out with you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Tale of all this time.
Are they going for, based on what you can tell, are they going for the Shaggy Velma ship like they did in Mystery Incorporated?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I hope not.
I never put those two together as a couple until Mystery Incorporated.
I think a recent trend with Velma is that she's been secretly revealing that she likes girls in various media, and I think this one outright said that, you know, she likes girls and not boys. So I guess there's that complication, but I'm open for her, you know, revealing that she likes girls, but, you know, the show's made ships before, and, well...
Daphne leave because of that? Or, like, was there something... Did something happen?
I don't know what I'm saying.
It's just... Yeah, it's one of them, but it's not the only show that's ever done that, and it probably won't be the last show where they try and, like, change a bunch of stuff about it and be like, it's for the modern audience, but it also, like, loses... I mean, this one's also an adult show, so it's trying to be edgier than like Mystery Incorporated was like the darkest Scooby-Doo, but it was still very much aimed for a children's audience. This is very much aimed at like your 15 and above
Let's change Shaggy's name. So...
Well, I mean, he's gone by Norville before. He still has a beard, so he's technically still considered Shaggy in some sense.
But he doesn't like use that name. He's like, I'm Norville, I guess. So it's like, okay, so we're not using Shaggy. I get it. Yeah. Okay. He looks a little bit like somebody cosplaying Shaggy rather than like somebody who you would be like, oh, that's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a long time ago when Scooby developed into shows like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, and I think Scooby-Doo and I forget what the series was called. Maybe
Scooby-Doo, like, get a clue?
No, it was earlier than that. But like Fred and Velma were like out of the picture, and it was usually Shaggy, Daphne, Scrappy, and Scooby, and then and now Velma's popular enough for her own show, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Well, those are the month's headlines, folks.
Wow.
I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to TBI.
Well, this year is certainly quite the interesting lineup in terms of movies. We've got sequels, remakes, and brand new stuff galore. One of the brand new things being the much anticipated animated Super Mario movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
There's been talks about it online for quite a few years now, and now with the trailers, it's finally happening. Now, off the bat, the movie looks stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Expanding the Mario franchise and world into a fully fleshed out 3D environment. It looks visually incredible.
It looks amazing.
It does.
Yeah. Now then, as much as we're all excited, some people are a little hesitant about this movie, and I think I can already tell what everyone's thoughts are. Chris Pratt, aka Star-Lord, voicing our main man, Mario himself.
A very interesting choice, to say the least.
Now, we all know what Mario sounds like, and Dudley, last time I checked, you've met him.
Yes, it was at Glasgow Comic Con
Mm-hmm.
with you and Rowan.
Yep.
Which was
Yeah.
cool.
However, with Chris Pratt voicing him, most of us expected him to put on a little bit of a Mario voice, but nope, it's just Chris Pratt talking normally.
I'm definitely a way too forgiving person, but when you and Twilight as well grew up on the Mario cartoon, and I personally think, like, you know, he's had different voices before. It's just the voice, you know. I mean, but they could have put effort into the accent, obviously, you know. But I'm just gonna take it for what it is because it looks really good, and I'm not gonna be there like, you know.
Yeah, I'm willing to let it slide because I'm sort of considering this similar to the live-action Detective Pikachu movie. Now, as we all know, Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu in Detective Pikachu. And of course, during that movie, he sounds nothing like how Pikachu should sound, but they do slip in... However, they do slip in a few true-voiced Pikachu lines using Pikachu's genuine voice. So it still lets you know that this is a genuine Pikachu, despite Ryan Reynolds here. So I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to do the same thing with this Mario movie. As long as Chris Pratt throws in a few true-voiced Yahoos or Itzamis in there, then I'm sure he'll do just fine.
I mean, in the second trailer, when he's going into the arena, he goes, "Let's go." Like, but,
And even though the voice of Mario is voicing some select few characters in this movie, somehow he didn't land the voice of Mario.
Yeah.
yeah, he said he
Yeah.
cameo in
Yeah.
the film. But,
I read a thing online like a while ago that was sort of talking about this, and they were saying, I wish they'd gone with an angle where it's a very serious scene, and it's like, Mario, we need your help. Will you help us? Will you put your life on the line for us? And then Mario tips his cap over his eyes dramatically and says, Yahoo!
Like, that's funny. You don't expect it to be that deep.
Mario is being made by the same people who did Despicable Me, as it happened. Well, Illumination. And I think, like, the Toads are going to be the next Minions. Like, but they look adorable. Like, it looks like... The funny... Okay, on the Chris Pratt thing, okay, I'm not completely like, yeah, I'm not defending him. Like, I saw a YouTube video where he's like, oh, I loved playing Mario as a kid. You used to bash Koopa Troopers, and then it shows the original Mario where you can't actually bash Koopa Troopers, and he just keeps doing hit, like, oh yeah, legit.
Yeah, didn't he like pause for a little bit? Like, yeah, I really loved smashing Koopas.
Yeah, that's not what they're
He had to
called,
stop and-
pal.
Yeah, he had to stop and think for a second.
If
Darn it, what were they called?
If you played it for as long as you did during your childhood, you'd know their names by now.
You know they're called Goombas.
Yeah.
I mean, an actor gets paid to voice a character. They don't necessarily have to love the content they're doing, but don't lie about liking it, because that just doesn't send a very good message, you know. It's just like,
But aside from that, everything else in this movie seems to be incredible. Chris Pratt is only a minor problem, but everyone else in the cast seems to be doing amazingly. Like, Jack Black voicing Bowser. Yes.
Best part of the whole thing, clearly.
Perfect.
Yes.
And
Yeah, as I say, I like the premise. It seems to be that he's going after the invincibility star, which is something it did. I won't go too much into it, but I did like a little mini story with that one. So I'm like, that's cool.
Yep. It appears
Also,
to be an.
apparently,
Sorry,
they're
go
having
on.
to rescue Luigi from Bowser and not Peach, as far as I could tell from the trailers, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I think I've
Yeah.
heard some statements that this is an origin story to the Mario Brothers. Like they were once genuine plumbers in New York or Brooklyn, and they get sucked into a magic pipe that sends them to the Mushroom Kingdom, and that's where
Isekai. Okay, gotcha.
and that's where their adventures really begin. And this movie seems to be expanding on that idea, which I think it will work. Yeah, of course. With Bowser being voiced by Jack Black, that is of course a brilliant choice. And from what I've read in terms of rumors, Bowser will have a rock song halfway through this movie.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
I'm certain there's going to be sequels. Like the way in this trailer, each says about other worlds, and I think there'll be a post-credit scene with like Rosalina or something, and then in the second film, if we get the Cooper kids, that'll be like yes.
Yeah, I've been thinking about making an animatic based on the idea that Bowser will be having a rock song. Based on that scene from the Horrid Henry movie where they're on stage, we're gonna be a rock star. I imagine Bowser Jr. singing that and just Bowser looking on proud like, that's my boy.
That's my boy.
But yeah, Bowser by Jack Black, great. Charlie Day as Luigi, I've heard his lines. He can be funny, so that works. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. She seems spirited enough. She can play a regal character. So far so good.
Yeah. It's literally like the whole cast doesn't bother. It's just Chris Pratt. Like my favorite Chris Pratt thing was when he was on that, when they had him on that direct or whatever, and he was like talking about it, and he went, "It's me, Mario." I'm just kidding. That's not the voice. And then it literally was the voice. I was just like, oh my
It was literally just Chris Pratt talking.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that was the voice.
However, whether or not this movie will do well, it all comes down to what we think about it. And
I'm excited for it either way. I'm gonna be
As
the
am I.
opening day.
no matter what happens, it's got to be better. Anything we get from this movie will instantly be better than that live action Mario movie back in the 80s.
The thing, I just wanted to add one thing I really like about the trailer. You know, Kamek, it's basically the Wizard Cooper. I think there's this whole thing about in the games how he raised Bowser from childhood, and so I love how in this trailer they make him out to be so OP, like he just lifts up the whole army. Like I'm just looking forward to how they stand up against that in the film, because you have to deal with Bowser, but you have to deal with Kamek as well, because Kamek is pretty dangerous. So I'm excited to see that.
Well, this has been quite a start to the year, and I'm excited to see what the world of cinema and everything else has to offer for 2023. So, anything you want to bring up before we bring this to a close?
No, I think we're in the clear on my end. Happy New Year, and may good things come.
Yes.
Yep. You know, speaking of New Year, I don't think anyone was expecting the robot to make a speech in place of King Charles. I mean, what? A robot doing a royal speech? Like, the TV was silent when we were having Christmas dinner early on. I came out to have a drink and I was like, oh my god, there's a robot making a speech!
I feel like I missed that entirely.
Oh, I'll link it. I'll link it in the
Please do.
description so you can see it for yourselves.
It's King Charles robot. Did I shake hands
He
with
might
a
be.
robot when I was little?
Maybe.
It's a woman robot, guys. Don't assume it's a guy. Oh gosh, it's working. Well, I think that's been quite the talk we've had today, so we'll see you guys in a couple of months for the next podcast and whatever else this year has to offer. So, time to say goodbye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, everyone.
Bye. Oh, and in regards to the end of the podcast last time, I hope my Godzillas and Pokemon rant didn't spoil anyone's experiences.
No, I think we're good.
I'll take that as a yes. Bye.